त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव.
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Mundakopanishad, and we have finished the 8th mantra in the first Mundaka. And what was the 8th mantra? It talked about how the creation, and the creation is how the creation comes about. It talks about, but from the standpoint of the Jiva. Because from the standpoint of Ishvara, what creation? Because there is no creation that is separate from Ishvara anyway. So, for us, from the standpoint of the people looking at the creation with awe and with a certain amount of incredulity, like how could this be like this? How wonderful it is, how thorough it is, and how awesome it is. So, from that standpoint, we saw how the creation was presented, quote unquote, in stages. So the stages is not for Bhagavan, because really speaking, even the people who are studying physics, Big Bang, etc., they also talk about how, since time itself is part of the equation, you cannot say how much time elapsed in how the what is that, in how it came about, in how the creation has come about. You cannot say that. So therefore, this is a excuse me. So this is a very different kind of a discussion. It is for the sake of assimilation of how thorough and how without any residue, where everything is taken care of, how thoroughly everything has been presented. So the creation is as though presented in stages. So now we saw how just and with very nice imagery, like the seed bloating before it sprouts. It's as though Bhagavan has become big with knowledge, just like a father anticipating the birth of his child becomes big with happiness, just like a mother to be becomes big both with happiness and physically. And so, like this, the mantra very helpfully took us through the stages of the quote unquote stages of creation. Because when we look, because this all has to corroborate with our own ideas and our own experience. What the Upanishad says cannot be contradictory to our experience. And so therefore, in our experience, we plant a seed and then we water it and then it sprouts, it becomes big, and then it shoots up, and then it suddenly doesn't, you plant a mango seed and suddenly next day you don't see a mango tree. You see a sprout. You don't know it's a mango sprout at all. At that age, at that level, you don't know anything. What it is, you don't know. And it could just be a weed or it could be something else, but you don't know that. And so, this is something that is presented very, very beautifully. It sprouts and then it becomes a small plant, still very susceptible to the vagaries of the environment and everything. It has to be protected, and then it is watered, then it grows into a small bush, and then slowly over time it becomes a tree. Some of these trees take 20 years to grow. Not a problem at all. 20 years to grow. And then they stay for a long time unless somebody cuts it off and cuts the life cycle short. So this is how we experience creation in our everyday life. And so the Upanishad is compassionate enough to present the whole creation in tandem with how we experience the creation, whether it is of a tree or whether it is a birth of a child. The child suddenly doesn't become a human being. The child takes a long time to grow. And even, I mean, that this is a human child. Even the other children of elephants, giraffes, and other mammals who can walk at birth, who can see at birth, still, even for them, they are also very vulnerable, very small. And then you see them becoming bigger. They take about, 6 months, year, whatever it is. They take some time to become an adult. And so this is something which is important, because what is here is shown is how there is a stage, and the stage we must not we have to get over trying to see that the stage is becoming in that is coming about in time. No, time itself is part of the creation. So from the standpoint of Ishvara, it's as effortless as you having a dream. When we have a dream, it's so effortless. You don't have to think, oh, where will I get this from? You think about something and it's already there. So this is what we saw, and we were also introduced in verse number 7 to Ishvara in the form of Brahman, in the form of that which cannot be grasped, that which is not an object, etc. And in the last mantra, we saw how everything has come from this Ishvara, and this Ishvara is responsible for the creation. And then this mantra that we are about to see today concludes this particular section. The Mundakopanishad has 6 sections, also called Mundakas, first Mundaka, second Mundaka, like that. And then so this is the close of the first section. So the first Mundaka means first section. The first section has 9 mantras total, and we are going to be studying the last one today. And in these 9 mantras, a lot of ground has been covered. A whole lot of ground has been covered. So first, we saw how this Vidya is completely given from Lord Brahmaji. It has great testimonials, because it comes from Bhagavan, and it is to be trusted, because Brahmaji gave it to his eldest son, and you won't give your eldest son anything other than the best. East or west, you give the best to your child, and so therefore it is to be trusted. And from there we saw how the parampara is important, because this is understood according to the parampara alone. We saw that as well. And then we saw how it's just so beautiful. Then we saw one more important thing. We saw how the knowledge is divided, as it were, into 2 branches. One is what is called Paravidya. Paravidya means the knowledge of Ishvara. That is Paravidya. Not only just the knowledge of Ishvara, the knowledge of Ishvara as oneself. That is Paravidya. Then Aparavidya is the knowledge of everything else in the universe that can be objectified. Paravidya is the knowledge of that self which cannot be objectified, which is indeed the truth of oneself, the truth of the Jagat, the truth of Bhagavan, that alone. So we saw that. And So we have these lines running. So on the one hand, we have this mega topic of para and aparavidya, and within that strain, we have all these other things about what is paravidya, what is aparavidya, and we are introduced to Bhagavan as the creator of everything, and how the creation has come along in so-called stages from the standpoint of human assimilation. That's the only reason. And so the concluding mantra is going to kind of, wrap it all up very nicely. And then it's going to wrap it up in a way that there leaves no room for any kind of ambiguity about what this first section, what the purport of the first section has been about. And then the second section, Mundaka number 2, mantra number 1, which we will see, not in this class, but in the next class, in the next session, which we will see. So that is going to take up another subject matter, related subject matter. And what is that? That is going to talk about karma and karma phala. That whole section is going to talk about karma and karma phala. Why? Because that's where the person is. Everybody wants good karma. Everyone is a karmaholic because they are, nobody is a karmaholic for the sake of being a karmaholic. One is a karmaholic for the sake of what? For the sake of karma phala. So when I say one is a karmaholic, one is a karma phalaholic. That is what it is. One is addicted to the fruits of action. If I do this, I'll get this. And I want that badly. So I will even transgress dharma in order to get this. So that is how the human mindset is before entering into this knowledge, of course. And it's like a basic mindset where if I do this, I get this kind of a reward, mindset. And based on that, the whole gamut of the people's, what is that called? The actions and the planning before the action comes from getting what they want, trying their best to get what they want, as they say, by hook or crook. So getting whatever they want at any cost. And then what? And then whatever they get, sitting down to have to enjoy the results of action. This is very much Prakrita Buddhi. Prakrita Buddhi means the bestial nature, not the best nature, bestial nature. Why? Because this is how animals behave. The lion has found one or killed one hyena, and it is, it is eating that. And then the tiger comes, dinner already there. And I didn't have to prepare it. I didn't have to do anything. All I have to do is take care of this fellow, the lion. And it makes the foolish attempt to try to take out or scare the lion. And then it ends up going and licking its wounds, because the lion will not give up the lion's share to any other predator. And so therefore this is how it is. So the tiger does that. Tiger is little, we hear, or at least in our imagination, the tiger is a little sly compared to the lion. It's a little more sly, and there is some surreptitious in its actions. And so anyhow, so this is what we see in the animal world. Oh, you got it? What do you mean it's yours? No, I saw it and I want it. Too bad it is yours. Snatch, conquer, kill, eat. This is what it is. And so this kind of a samskara is there in the human life as well, because even though one has led an animal life in past lives, that animal life has not afforded the opportunity to understand Paravidya and get in touch with Paravidya and to understand myself as the whole. So those samskaras remain and they are very difficult to overcome. That's why dharma becomes the first purushartha. And so the second section, and I'm just giving the introduction now so that we can connect it with this last mantra that's going to come, because it's going to be a segue mantra very nicely. So the second section is going to lay bare the the limitations of the fruits of karma. It's going to lay bare for everybody to see. Why? Because this is called some kind of an aversion therapy. In psychotherapy, there are many kinds of therapies. One is called, especially for repeat offenders, one, like a pickpocket who is landed up in jail for the 25th time. And so, what will you do to this fellow? You have to give some aversion therapy. So you show them a movie, and one fellow is running after another fellow and picks the pocket very nicely. And then what? And then you show something disgusting, just like a lot of sludge and all horrible things you show. Or you show dismembered bodies or something very, very difficult to see. Meaning the pleasing kick that one is getting out of seeing this pocket being picked in the video is completely spoiled. That experience is spoiled by this other, by the darshan of this dead body in the street or something like that, or blood and gore and all these things. And so the person ceases to associate something pleasant with the picking of the pocket. Apparently, it's quite effective because the recidivism, meaning the ability to fall into this habit, is less with people who have undergone this aversion therapy. And so here the second section is going to present an aversion therapy for the karma phala holic, for the one who is addicted to the fruits of action, to the results of action. How? By showing. Yeah, I mean, the Upanishad doesn't need to show us video or anything of anything pleasant. It just shows how, even though it looks pleasant, it is karma phala is rotten to the core. This is what it lays bare. In fact, the word phala, phalgutaya liyate iti phalam, meaning that which is subject to rotting is called phala. And why did we have to use the word karma phala? There is a reason. Karma phala is also subject to rotting. It is finite, first of all. And in the process of striving for the pleasant, most of the time, what do you get? The unpleasant, because the karma phala does not happen to be in your hands. So it gives vistarena, it gives in detail how one keeps on this particular addiction to karma phala, which one keeps on rehearsing and one is not able to overcome, must be overcome in order to know Paravidya. That is where we are going. And so now, with these words, let us look at the ninth mantra, and let me just share that now. Hold on. And let us understand the ninth mantra and what its purport is and what might be its connection to the next section. Yas sarvajñas sarvavid yasya jnanamayam tapaha. It should mean tapaha, it is tapaha. Okay, there is a mistake there. Tasmadetad brahma nama रूपमन्नञ्च जायते यः सर्वज्ञः सर्ववित् यस्य ज्ञानमयं तपः तस्मादेतद् ब्रह्म नाम रूपमन्नञ्च जायते. Yaha, the one who is Sarvajnaha. We'll see the meaning of the word Sarvajnaha. We'll see its derivation, etc. But for now, all knowing. We have two words in the tradition. One is Sarvajnaha, all knowing, and the other is Sarvavit. Sarvavit. And this vit is joined with yasya, so there is a sandhi there, so it doesn't look like Sarvavit, but trust me, it is Sarvavit. So this is this one Sat Sarvavit. Sarvavit is also means all knowing. Sarvam janati iti sarvajnah, sarvam vetti iti sarvavit. But then the Upanishad is not one that has the fallacy of redundancy. So we have to see that there must be another meaning for these words. They are not synonyms or not synonymously used here. There must be some difference albeit a very, very slight difference. And then we'll see all that. Let's just understand the meaning. The one who is all knowing in all ways, let us take that for now. Yasya, whose tapaha, whose austerities, whose tapas, whose visualization, whose meditation, whose contemplation is what? Jnanamayam is nothing but knowledge. Nothing but knowledge. Very interesting. The maya is a suffix, mayat, and it has three meanings. The maya has three meanings. The first meaning of the mayat shabda, the pratyaya suffix mayat, means vikararthe, vikararthe. Like annamayam, annamayam shariram, when you say. The body is annamayam. Annamayam means annavikaraha. Vikara means modification. So the body is a modification of food. Even though you think that the donuts you eat are directly becoming the middle tire, it's not. It is first being converted to energy, and then it is going to nourish the blood and the bones and the all that. So this is vikararthe. And then there is another meaning for this mayat shabda, which is called prachuryarthe, in the sense of preponderance. So in the olden days, they used to go to yajnas. Everybody used to have a yajna. That was a stand-in for our modern day parties and potlucks. Okay, so they would just have a yajna and everybody would go and then have a good time, talk to each other, eat lunch, and then come back. And then, of course, the richer the person hosting the yajna they would have more and more items in the lunch that follow. So let's say you went to such a yajna and came back, and then somebody asked you, somebody who couldn't go asked you, so how was so and so's yajna? You say annamayam yajnam. Same word. There also annamayam shariram. Here annamayam yajnam, but different meaning. Annamayam shariram means the food, the body is a product of the food that is processed into nutrients and then takes on various forms. So that's vikara, modification. The body is a modified form of the food you eat. But here, Annamayam Yajnam means, oh my God, I don't remember anything about the yajna except the food. I don't remember which devatas they invoked. I don't remember what all people were wearing. I don't remember how many people were even there for that matter. All I remember is the food. Why? Because that's what stood out. Preponderance. There was a preponderance of food. So this is prachuryarthe. Prachurya means preponderance. Mostly food. That was what was memorable. Other things were there, but we don't remember. And so then then the third meaning is swarthe. Means in its own sense. Nothing other than that which this suffix is qualifying. Like we have, the name of a Swami, Chinmayananda. There here, Chit plus Maya, Chinmaya. Chinmaya. So what is this Chinmaya? Chit means Brahman, Bhagavan, consciousness. Chinmaya, if you take it as a vikara of Chit, that's not a very nice name. So I'm just a modification of Chit. I'm not Chit at all. Or if you take it as prachuryarthe, which it's mostly chit, but then little bit achit is there, little bit jadatvam is there. So consciousness has a lesha, has a residue, a patina of jadyam, meaning insentiency. That also is not acceptable to us. So therefore, the third meaning is in play here, which means nothing but chit. It is all chit, 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 chit. And that is all it is. And so therefore the third meaning is swarthe. Here when you say jnanamayam, it is not jnana prachurya, it is not an excess of jnanam, or it is not what is that, it is not a modification of jnanam, it is nothing but jnana. whose creation is nothing but jnanam. It's as effortless as visualizing. And for the one with all knowledge, the visualizing of the entire universe is very, very easy. Just like you in the dream. Same thing. So this is the first line. So the one who is all knowing, Sarvajna, or we'll see this in detail. Sarvajna means all knowing in general, Sarvavid, all knowing in particular, and for whose knowledge, for whom the contemplation is all just knowledge. The contemplation is just his, her own knowledge. There is no other thing to contemplate upon because no other thing exists. There's no other thing at all. It doesn't even exist. So what to talk about contemplation? So tasmat, from this, from this what? From this Bhagavan. From this Bhagavan alone, who is all knowing and who is all knowing in general and particular, and whose tapas is of the nature of knowledge. What happened for this Bhagavan? For this, from this Bhagavan, everything came. Tasmad etat Brahma. Brahma. So from this Tasmad etat Brahmanama. Brahmanama means this force, this energy, this Bhagavan called Brahman. What happened? Rupam jayate, annam cha jayate. So the Rupam here, Rupa, when you hear the word Rupa, you have to bring in Nama, no other option. That option does not exist. So Nama Rupa came, all the names and forms came, and then the names and forms are not going to sit quietly if they are not fed regularly. Okay, so food also has to come in order to keep them going. Otherwise, what's the use of having Rupa and Nama and all these things when you cannot sustain that. So the things in the Jagat came, sentient and insentient. The sentient ones are not going to sit by quietly if there is nothing to graze on. And so the food was also provided from this Bhagavan. It looks like a simple enough thing, but it's a very, it's like I said, it's a bridge verse. So therefore, it has a lot to, it has a lot to look at. There's a lot there to look at. There's a lot there to talk about. So in the tradition, so let us take the words Sarvajna and Sarvavit. In the tradition, we have two words to signify all knowing. All knowing means it is Sarvajna. All knowing also is Sarvavit. Jnaha, the word Janati, he or she knows, is shortened into Jnaha, or if it is feminine, Jna. So for example, if you say, like if you want to talk about a potter, what is the potter? The potter is the knower of pot, let's say. If you want to look at that. So, ghataha means pot. Ghatam janati iti ghatagnaha. The one who knows all about pots is called potgnaha. And that is how you add this suffix. And then the one, let's say there is a cloth merchant. Pata is cloth. Patam janati iti patagnaha. Patagnaha means the one who knows cloth. Then if you take the jiva in general, then what do you get if you take the jiva in general? Oh, I don't have enough knowledge. I have small knowledge and I'm not, I'm small knowing. Small means alpa. Alpam janati iti alpagnaha. This is the state of the complaining jiva. Alpam janati iti alpagnaha. But then the one who is all knowing, Sarvam Janati iti Sarvajnaha. This is very, very wonderful. So Sarvam means everything. So here it includes not only the knowledge but the skill to create. The Jnanam here includes the Shakti. Just like the potter has the knowledge of pot and then the Shakti to create everything. The carpenter has the Shakti to create, the chair, table, and all furniture. Then then the goldsmith has the knowledge of gold. Gold janati iti gold gyaha. would janati iti would gyaha, like this. So we have this tradition, tat tat karta tat tadnyaha, meaning whatever, whoever is the doer of anything, it is understood that they are endowed with the knowledge to do that particular thing. And if we talk about Ishvara, Ishvara is the karta of what? Of the whole creation, of the pot and the gold and everything, of the pot and the clay. And then so therefore Ishvara is Sarvasya Karta, Sarvagnaha. Sarvagnaha. So that's why, in ancient India, we never had this problem of privatizing knowledge. That just simply was not there. The privatization of knowledge was not even a concept. There was no ownership because Ishvara is Sarvagya. It is all Ishvara's knowledge. You're shining in borrowed plumage. It's all Ishvara's plumage, Ishvara's knowledge that you are appropriating as your own. That's why we have such exalted works of Vedanta. None of them have authors. We don't even know who wrote. Sometimes they would not even take the credit. They would put it in the name of the Guru. Or they would say, Shankara, Adi Shankara wrote. But it was produced much later after Adi Shankara. So how can Adi Shankara write? Well, it's all his knowledge. I can't take the credit. So this whole question of intellectual property right, etc., is coming from not taking this omniscience seriously. Uh, so here we never had this way of putting some kind of a name on the knowledge. Why? Because if somebody discovered something, let us say, the Columbus supposed to have discovered America. He didn't, but supposed to have, supposedly, because he was the first one who apparently counted, who made the trip there. So, but then this itself is ridiculous. It had already been discovered by all the animals that have been living there. It had been discovered by all the indigenous people living there. In fact, we need not even use the word indigenous, but we have to because there is all these colonizers and appropriators. So, because of the people living there, it had already been discovered. And then this Columbus came and put a stamp on it, and then, and he even managed to get a holiday for himself in November. Okay, Columbus Day. Now, of course, they are fighting to change it to Indigenous Peoples Day and all this. So somehow he came along because he has more power, more pelf, and what is that? The Spanish patronage of the Spanish, he had the patronage of the Spanish royalty, and he could just come and then mark his thing, and and what about the people who live there? Oh, they don't matter, they are heathens, and that's what it is. So as ridiculous as Columbus discovering America is us discovering anything or inventing anything at all. As ridiculous as that it is, because whatever you put your name on has already been looked at. And that is how, when you write or when you apply for a patent, it's good to know this. It's good to know this. Patent is mithya, and your name is also mithya. But when you know this, then there is a sense of freedom from that. So cognitively, you have to see this. And that is why this verse is presented. That everything, sarvagya. So all knowledge exists and is already discovered. It's already a possibility. It's already a possibility. Already a possibility. And so the person who, to use the language of physics, collapses the possibility, means makes the possibility come to life, is accredited with that particular title or a Nobel Prize, or with that kind of a credit. But still, he or she just brought out something that was already there. Newton was sitting under a tree and one apple fell. It was not the first nor the last apple to fall. and and also, Well, what is that? It was good it fell on his head because it, stimulated the brain cells, and then he could discover what was already there for thousands and thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of years. A force called gravitational force was already there. It was discovered. You stumble upon it. Same thing, penicillin. Penicillin was accidental. He just had some bacteria in a petri dish, and then he just was Fleming was experimenting with some things, and then it grew. It grew into a particular kind of a mold. That whatever it was, that solution grew into a mold, and that mold had killed off all the bacteria. And so, like this, it's all accidental. Accidental means Bhagavan. We don't have accidents. We only have incidents whose meaning we don't know. We don't fathom. That's why we call it Bhagavan. There is no accident. There's only various kinds of incidents. And so now what? So now here, whether it's the theory of relativity or whether it is the, Hawking's radiation, meaning previously they had thought that when something goes into the black hole, it is swaha, it is all, that nothing escapes the black hole. But Hawking's found out that there was some light that was escaping the black hole in the form of some radiation, and that's why it's called Hawking's radiation. But really speaking, it is Bhagavan's radiation, and because this was already known, it just needed Hawkins to come and show it to the world. And the same thing, the one who discovered that, what is that, God particle. God is not a particle. And because we have in the tradition, Anoho, Aniyam, Mahato, Mahiyan. So smaller than an atom, yes, but then bigger than the biggest thing you can think of. Both we have to say. Otherwise, we'll say atomic. God becomes atomic. And that will be that will be a big blunder. And so here, this boson particle, the one who discovered, it was there. Grey matter, black matter, it is already there. And same thing, now this Webb telescope is coming and strutting around and showing us all kinds of things with Drishya we had never even seen. Amazing depth, amazing color, amazing clarity. It is showing us so many things. And why is it showing so many things? Because it is there. That's why it can show. It's not manufacturing the galaxies that it is beaming back to Earth. No, it's already there. And what about the telescope itself? The knowledge to make it was already there in this large group of researchers and scientists. How to use the reflective material, how powerful should it be? What kind of new technologies are there? Which is also again Bhagavan. And how can we harness it? So knowledge is not personalized. Knowledge is not a property. It is with Bhagavan all the time. That's why all the manifestations of God in our tradition are happily married. They are all never without their consorts. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and most importantly, which is the topic here, Jnana Shakti. That Jnana Shakti. That is what it is. It's not, you cannot, it's inextricable. It's inextricable from that intelligence. The Shakti and the intelligence are dancing in tandem. Not one is above or below, not one is stronger or weaker, nothing like that. It is a wonderfully choreographed dance, the product of which is this Jagat, which is all knowledge. This is how we have to be able to view the Jagat as all knowledge, because that's what it is. Otherwise, how do we view the Jagat? Oh no, it's out to get me. It is not. It's not out to get you. It's not out to get anybody. It is just all knowledge. It's just you. And that you later on is going to be seen as nothing but Ishvara. Oh, so are you meaning to say I am Sarvagnya? Yes. Bingo. You got it. Oh, but how can I be Sarvagnya? I am Alpagnya. I am small knowing, and Bhagavan is all knowing. That's why we have two words to qualify Bhagavan, I told you here, to describe Bhagavan. So the first one is Sarvajnaha, the one who knows everything. Everything what? In general. Why? Because the one who knows the Karana. Karana is always general. Karana Jnanam, the one who has, is called Sarvajnaha. The one who knows the cause. And the cause is just a spoof. That also one who knows. And the cause doesn't have a cause. That also the one who knows. That is Sarvajnaha. Then we have another word, Sarva, with exactly the same meaning. But here, since it is used together and there is a custom, there is a precedence in the tradition of using these two words together in order to show something which is very nice, in order to show that there is a different way in which Bhagavan shines than the Jiva. And how does Bhagavan shine? Simply upadhitah. From the standpoint of the upadhi, the oceanic, limitless upadhi called Bhagavan. There is one more word to describe Bhagavan, Sarvavit, the one who knows everything in particular. Means Karya. Karya Jnana. Karya Jnana, the one who has. Karya Jnanena Sarvavit Bhavati Brahma. So because of it being equipped with Karya Jnana, this Brahman, this consciousness has the knowledge of Karya. Karya means effect. And if the effect is Jagat, think of how endless that knowledge is. Huge. Knowledge of Greek, knowledge of Mandarin, knowledge of some vague language that only one survivor is there. And UNESCO is trying to put that person on life support. Please teach everything. Already you are 99 years old. Please teach everything. Please record everything. All those projects are going on to conserve this. So all this is there. So how can one person know everything? Not possible. Not with this pea brain that one has. Not possible at all. Yeah, because Bhagavan doesn't have brain. That's why it is all knowledge. That's why Bhagavan is called Sarvavit, because there is no container for this knowledge. It's an uncontained, uncontainable knowledge. It's all knowledge. Antahkarana is not there to contain this knowledge, to write a commentary on this knowledge and to say, oh, I don't know enough, I need to get more, I need to get some continuing education credit. All this problem is not there for Bhagavan. None of this. So therefore what? This is wonderful. This is really, really wonderful, because the knowledge, there is no resting place for the knowledge. Knowledge is just like the Bhagavan is all pervasive, the knowledge is also all pervasive. And here we are talking about the knowledge of particulars, the knowledge of all the laws of the universe and how they operate. We are talking about that. We are talking about natural laws. We are talking about the laws of physics. We are talking about climate. We are talking about how the ocean and the moon, how they talk to each other, the tides, the waxing and waning phases. Oh, but we can know all that. Yeah, you can know all that. If you're a meteorologist, you can know a few things. And if you're a physicist, you can know a few more things. That's all. One person cannot have the whole gamut of what it takes, what it takes to make the Jagat tick. Nobody can do that. This is what Sarvavit. And here, a very important manifestation and the knowledge of that manifestation is karma. Very important. So imagine, your own karma, it's difficult to know. What's going to happen today afternoon, you don't know. Okay, let alone tomorrow. What is going to happen today, you don't. But imagine Bhagavan not only knows your karma, but knows all the karmas of all the people, not just people, all the jivas. From one small kida means a little little worm, all the way to Lord Brahmaji, who is presiding over this kalpa. This Ishvara knows the karma of each and every jiva. And that is stupendous enough. Because think of how many more human beings alone, say, staggering number, 7.8 billion or something like that. And then you have then you have all the other life forms. fungi, they also have life. And then mold, and then what else is there? And then this mildew, and then all these things, moss, and then microscopic jivas, viruses, bacteria, all these things. They all have, they all have this, they are all just nothing but knowledge. And Bhagavan knows all their karmas. Not only that, that itself is mind boggling. But if we want to boggle the mind a little more, think about how those karmas intersect. How the karma of a certain bacteria intersect with a certain person's lungs. And they go and sit there. They go and sit there. And they have a name also. Very, stubborn bacteria. Pseudomonas. They belong to a particular jati. Okay. And nothing pseudo about it. It is there. And it builds a city. Where? In the lungs. And in any other place also. Any other nice, hospitable place for it. Okay, it builds a city. They are called colonies. They are called biofilms, and then they are all antibiotic resistance. They're all resistant to all antibiotics because they hide under these biofilms, like bulletproof homes they have, and then they don't, they don't budge from there. You have to make friends with them until they make a what should I say, direct phone call to Lord Yama. That is what it will be. And so like this, this is the, so imagine the karma of the bacteria and the particular organ in the particular body of this particular person, they are going to colonize. Another person, they are not going to do that. Why? This is the karma. How the karmas intersect. Who is going to get married to whom? This is a very interesting knowledge of karma, because if you ask anybody, how did you get married to such and such a person? There'll always be a little bit of a, kind of mystery about it. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know how this happened. So like this. And then you ask, why marriage? You just ask somebody, how come you're living in this city? They'll say, oh, that was a series of happy accidents. And then I just came here because my brother was here, because my mother was here, because, my sister was here. Then you ask, how come your sister was here? Oh, that's a very interesting story. We had never thought she will go there, but somehow she ended up there. And then there'll be some other cause. Then you find out why the sister went and why indeed that cause was there. Then you go plumbing into the depths of that cause, and that also doesn't lead you anywhere. It all leads you to this what is that maze called karma. Why is it called maze? Because it is amazing. That's why it is called a maze, where all these things intersect, where there are so many dead ends, and where certain things are there, but you don't know. And then also the karma includes when something comes to light, suddenly something is discovered. Why now? I know, and some astrologer recently made a prediction that in the next 10, 20 years, in the near future, 20 years or 25 years, that there is going to be the aliens discovery is going to be there, and made a prediction. And then so this is just for fun. Maybe that fellow had some skills, I don't know, but made a prediction: alien life, we are going to be introduced to another life form in either our galaxy or even outside of our galaxy, a very intelligent set of beings with whom obviously we cannot communicate, because we don't even know how they think, because compared to them, we will all be, as a civilization, extremely dumb. This was the prediction. And then so why will it happen 25, if supposing that comes true? We don't know. But supposing if that comes true, why will it happen 20 years hence or 25 years hence? Why not now? Why not 20 years ago? There is a reason for that. And the one who knows that reason is called Sarvavit, because it's all the plan of the ever unfolding universe. the ever expanding, unfolding universe, there is a time for everything. There is a time and place for everything. So we may never know how come the aliens did not come, in the Middle Ages. That would have been a nice time. Then we could have been sitting here reading about them. But why did they not come at that time? There is a reason. Why did coronavirus did not come, after we were all gone, so that we didn't have to deal with it, so some other generation could deal with it? There is a reason for that. We have had to live through this pandemic. There is a reason for that, because here it's no longer individual karma. Here we are talking about collective karma. Ayyo, there is some such thing called collective karma also. You bet. Yeah, there is individual karma, and that intersects with this blessed thing called collective karma. And so then, that is the one who knows all this is Sarvavit. So Karana Jnana, the one who knows the cause, the one who knows causation, the one who knows that this cause is an as though superimposed status on epithet on Brahman, who is free of all causality, all causation. And the effect, the so-called effect, is non-separate from that Brahman. The one who knows that is called Sarvajnaha, which is in other words, Karanasya Jnanam, Karana Jnanam. And the one who has Karya Jnanam also in addition to the Karana Jnanam. Karya Jnanam means various branches of knowledge that you can study, and also branches of knowledge you cannot study, like karma. Try to do a PhD in karma, you will become korma. Korma is some kind of a vegetable dish. Yeah, some medley. You will become vegetable korma, okay? Try to study karma. That's why no university will say, welcome to the Department of Karmic Studies. You cannot study karma. They will not get anywhere. You cannot have any courses, because they will soon understand that it is the karma of the department to shut down. They will soon understand that they are helpless to continue. This is what it is. So then certain things can be studied. Certain things are so esoteric. Gahana karmano gatihi. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Gahana means it is dense. It is too dense for this head. Okay, so it is too dense to be able to see how everything intersects. And why suddenly somebody gets a lottery ticket? Which lottery tickets? The one you purchased. But then it went with the wind, because it was a windy day, and you had the desire to look at it longingly, and then it just flew in the wind straight into the hands of a person who did not know where it came from, and you cannot claim it because you don't know which person has it. And then it was the winning ticket after several weeks of not winning, nobody winning anything. And so it had all the dollars the jackpot had stockpiled with dollars, and the person got some big payout. Why? Karma. That is what it is. Simply karma. Oh, does that mean I stole a ticket from somebody else? Karma is not literal. It is funny, it is humorous, but you cannot take it literally. It's not literal. It's just very, 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 very breezy. Here it is literally breezy. It's a breezy karma. So karma is also like that, very light, airy, and humorous. Because Bhagavan's humor. Bhagavan as a stand-up comedian, if you want to see, if you want to have darshan, then just look at karma. Look at your own karma. Look at the irony there. There is so much paradox, there is so much irony. You can't but help laugh, because if you don't laugh, you are going to cry. That's all it is. It's better to laugh than to cry. So you can either laugh or cry. It's better to laugh, and you can see that. And when you laugh, actually you are more in tandem with Bhagavan, because you see you are not just the one that is affected. You are seeing the wisdom of it. That's why you are able to laugh. You're seeing the glory of this karma. Even when it affects you, you are able to laugh. You're really, really able to laugh. And so this is how this is what is called Sarvavit. Now, so if when the Upanishad says you are Ishvara, is that equation being made on the level of the Sarvajnaha or on the level of Sarvavit? This is a very good question to look at. Is that equation I am Ishvara? If that is what the Upanishad is unfolding, and when this equation is being made, whether this equation is being made on the level of Sarvajna or Sarvavit, we have to see. Sarvajna means the one who knows the cause, Karana Jnanaha, Jnanam, Karana Jnana. And then Sarvavit means Karya Jnana. So obviously it's not on the level of Karya Jnana. I don't know the whole Karya. I barely know how one particular branch of knowledge works. Even after doing PhD and postdoc, and after that, what comes? Postdoc. And so you haven't really docked at the port of the knowledge. You haven't. You just know more and more of less and less. Or you know less and less of more and more. Either way you can take it, both of them will be true. You just know more and more and more of something that becomes less and less and less, less and less and less, means it seems the subject matter seems to shrink as you specialize in it. So first, you start studying physics, it's all broad and you feel, oh, I can have a handle on it. It's very interesting. And then you get into quantum theory and all these things, so specialized. Then you study the gravitational force and that is again specialized. Same thing in medicine. There's no such thing anymore as general medicine. No such thing. Because it's all very, 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 very specialized. Everything is specialized. And so the knowledge supposedly has been cut up into small, small pieces, bite-sized pieces, but each bite is so huge. It's an endless, it's all Satchidananda, Satchidananda, because Bhagavan, the infinity of Bhagavan is in that infinite knowledge is part of this creation, is expressed in this creation and in this manifestation. And so all you see is Bhagavan in a micro form. So even though you say less and less, you just keep knowing more and more and more of that which has become less and less. Really speaking, it's not less and less. And then what? Then you know less and less and less of more and more and more. Because that which you thought is less has become more and more and more. More and more and more. And then of that more and more and more, the whole life you study, you just know less and less and less. There was a devotee of Pujya Swamiji who studied only bats. Fruit bat, this bat, that bat. And interestingly, his name was Bhatnagar. Okay, so but in America they will always call him Bat Nagar. And so this was an interesting karma. Speaking of Sarva Vetritvam, speaking of Sarvavit, all time studying bats, his whole life was given to bats. And a subject matter which would make somebody else very batty because they are not happen to be interested in it. But for him, that was what it was. And one day, Swamiji asked him, "What is it that you find so interesting about bats?" And he said, "I have no idea, but they just fascinate me." "So what have you discovered?" He said, "Nothing." He was also studying Vedanta, but he was just mad about bats. He said, "I don't know anything. The more I study, the less I know." And this is what it is. So therefore, the equation between oneself, the Mahavakya, which makes the equation between Jiva and Ishvara, is not on the level of Sarva Vetritvam, because that is on the level of the Upadhi, of all power, all knowledge in this particular form. But the equation is made on the level of, at the stage of Karana Jnana. Yes, if Bhagavan has Karana Jnanam, you can also have the knowledge of Bhagavan as the Karana. And that the Karya is not separate from the Karana. And that Karana I am. That knowledge you can have. Tat Jagat Karanam Brahma Aham Asmi. That knowledge is possible through Vedanta because that is what is Paravidya. Paravidya, in other words, is Karana Jnanam, and then Aparavidya, the knowledge of the particulars, is what is called Karya Jnana. So you can never be one with Bhagavan at the level of Karya Jnanam, only at the level of Karana Jnanam. I hope this was understood. Now it will be appropriate for you to say more or less. Yeah, so more or less. That is how you can, that's the best we can do. Okay, the next class will meet when I'm in Eugene, I think. I forgot the date, but I will put up the schedule. It's not the next week, but the week after that. Okay, week of in 2 weeks. 7th, today is the 7th, yeah, 14, 21st. So in the next class we'll meet on the 21st. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, and that 20th, on that Saturday, we will have Bodhasara also. Om Namah Shivaya.